You know, in the world of Philippine college volleyball, where every single point is a battle, there's one achievement that stands above everything else. We're talking about the perfect season. And this isn't just about winning the championship. Oh no, it's about pure, absolute, undeniable dominance.
And it all boils down to this one magical number, 16 and 0. Think about that for a second. 14 straight wins in the elimination rounds, and then you cap it all off with 2 more in the finals. That's perfection. From the very first serve of the season all the way to that final glorious championship point.
But here's the million-dollar question, right? Does a perfect run automatically mean a perfect ending? You think so, but it's not nearly that simple. See, an undefeated record does way more than just put a giant target on your back. It actually changes the entire path to the championship, and it brings on a kind of pressure that is just crushing.
Okay, so this is the key thing you have to understand. In UAP volleyball, if a team pulls off a perfect 14-0 sweep in the eliminations, you can just throw the normal Final Four playbook right out the window. It's gone. Instead, that flawless record triggers this special, super high-stakes playoff structure. And believe me, it's one that's haunted by some serious ghosts from the past.
And to really get what I'm talking about, we got to go back in time. Let's start with a true cautionary tale. We're talking season 76, a season that ended in one of the most legendary heartbreaks in all of UAAP history. All right, so picture this. The Salle Lady Spikers. They weren't just a team. They were an absolute juggernaut. They weren't just winning games, they were demolishing opponents. They finished the elims 14-0, and that was on top of a mind-blowing 30-game winning streak from the season before. I mean, they were the definition of an undisputed favorite. Nobody thought they could lose.
And that absolute, total dominance, that's what made the ending so incredibly painful. You just have to hear this quote from Noel Orcullo, a longtime DLSU assistant coach. Even all these years later, he calls it a nightmare that they never, ever want to experience again. So, what in the world happened?
Well, it all comes down to something called the stepladder format. See, because LaSalle was perfect in the elims, they got a huge prize, an automatic ticket straight to the finals. Sounds great, right? But here's the catch. While they sat and waited, the other 3 teams had to fight their way through a brutal knockout playoff series just to face them.
And this is what that climb looks like. It's a gauntlet. First, you have the number 4 and number 3 seeds going head-to-head, win or go home. The winner of that match then has to take on the number 2 seed. Only one team survives that whole ordeal. So you have this battle-hardened, momentum-fueled challenger going up against the top seed who's been sitting around, well-rested, but maybe a little rusty. And that long break, it can be an absolute momentum killer. It's a huge psychological hurdle.
So back in season 76, who was that challenger? It was the 3rd-seeded Ateneo Lady Eagles. And let me tell you, nobody gave them a chance. They had to beat Adamson in a knockout match. Then they had to pull off a miracle against the number 2 seed, NU, who had a twice-to-beat advantage. And what was their reward for all that? A date with LaSalle in the finals. A LaSalle team that had a thrice-to-beat advantage. Yeah, you heard that right. That rule is gone now, thankfully, but back then it meant Ateneo had to beat the unbeatable champions 3 times. LaSalle just needed to win once.
And what happened next is the stuff of legend. Against all odds, against a team they had to beat 3 times, Ateneo did it. They didn't just win one game, they won the whole darn series. It was one of the single greatest upsets in UAAP history, and it was the ultimate proof that a 14-0 sweep guarantees you absolutely nothing. Okay, so if going undefeated in the elims is so risky, how has anyone ever pulled off a perfect season? Well, some teams have. Let's take a look at the ones who stared that pressure right in the face and created the blueprint for how to get it done.
And you're not going to believe this. The very next year, the ultimate underdogs became the ultimate powerhouse. Ateneo, led by the one and only Alyssa Valdez, didn't just defend their title. They went out and had their own perfect 16-0 season. It was like they took all that miracle run energy and just weaponized it into a full season of total domination.
And I mean, just look at this lineup. It's easy to see why they were so good. The roster was just stacked. You had Alyssa Valdez, who was basically a human highlight reel, winning MVP, best scorer, and best server. Then you had the genius Gia Morado setting them up, Dendon Lazaro locking down the defense as the best receiver, and Amy Ohomiro stepping up to win finals MVP. There was just no stopping them.
After what Ateneo pulled off, a perfect 16-0 season felt like this mythical, almost impossible goal. And for a long time, it was. It would take 7 whole years before another team could even touch that level of perfection. And that next team, the National University Lady Bulldogs in season 84. And their run was historic in so many ways. Yeah, they went 16-0, which is incredible on its own, but they also broke a 65-year championship drought for their school? 65 years? I mean, that's how you write your name in the history books forever. And I love this quote from their coach, Karl Damakulongen, because it really gets to the heart of it. He says, "You see the sweep, but behind the scenes, that was what was so difficult. We just see the perfect record, right? But what we don't see is the insane amount of work, the sacrifice, the pressure. It takes an almost superhuman level of focus to pull that off."
So, you've got the cautionary tale, you've got the blueprints for success, and all of that history brings us right here, right now. Because in the current Season 8, history isn't just repeating itself, it is screaming at us.
Guess who just completed another perfect 14-0 elimination round sweep? Yep, the Salle Lady Spikers. They've got their express ticket to the finals, and now they play the waiting game while the other teams battle it out in the stepladder. Sound familiar? The parallels are just chilling. I mean, look at this. It's laid out right here. Season 76, 14-0 elims, straight to the finals, lost. Season 88, 14-0 elims, straight to the finals, question mark. The path is identical. The only thing left to decide is the ending. Is this going to be a repeat of that nightmare, or can they finally rewrite their own history?
But, there might be one crucial difference this time around. They know what's at stake. The coaches, the players, they aren't hiding from the ghost of Season 76. In fact, they're talking about it openly. They're trying to learn from that heartbreak and use it as fuel. That could change everything.
So, that's where we are. The stage is set. They know the blueprint for perfection, but they're also haunted by the ghosts of their own past. It all comes down to this. Can this powerhouse LaSalle team conquer history itself and finally claim that perfect season? We're all about to find out.